when I was a sophomore, I was commuting to UCLA in the summertime, and I was on a train, and there was an old woman that sat down across from me, and she was got to be, I think she was like in her 70s, she was a very elderly woman, and she started talking to me about Pearl Harbor. And she started talking about the Japs and how she hated the Japs and all the stuff she went on about it. And I sat there and she didn't know I was Japanese. And I was just looked at her and I thought, wow, it's interesting to be in talking to her to see her perspective, because if she knew that I was Japanese, she couldn't talk the way she was talking. And I understand, because she had friends that died at Pearl Harbor, and so she had some kind of experience like that. But I realized that at that moment, I realized that, it's so different. Like I always thought, you go in and people just accept you or don't accept you. But there are times when people accept you when they really don't accept you. And you don't even know when that is. And that was a time where I knew that if she knew I was Japanese, that I wouldn't be accepted by her. And it was interesting. And
that you see more mixed children that you did when you were younger, and do you think that how people perceive them and treat them has changed?
Oh my God, yes. Do you know? Well, when I was little, I remember standing there when we were I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I was at a gas station. And this happened a couple of times, but I remember this one particular time where somebody would drive by at a gas station saying to my mother, "Go back to where you're from." And just yelling as they're coming by. And I just thought, wow, that's, and, I knew when I was very young that, we were considered different. And I just recently heard this story. My mother was saying that the first house that we lived in, they actually had a vote to see whether they were going to let them buy their house, because my parents were interracial. And they wanted to know whether it was a problem for the neighbors to have them move into the neighborhood. And actually, my mom and dad didn't find out until years later, but it was that's the way it was. People didn't even want, it wasn't even like that he was white or Hispanic and she was Japanese, but they were white and were Hispanic and Japanese mixing together that was the issue. And that was more of a thing than having just an Asian couple, or just a white couple, or just a Hispanic couple.